Hey, all you yuppers out there. How you doing? This is take two. I got recording for about 3 minutes. I had the camera on and realized the recording equipment wasn't on. And so guess what? You're going to do it again. Hey, those of you that follow me on YouTube at the Yup podcast on YouTube, you get to see me in my 70s disco dance outfit from the party that my wife and I, Adrian, went to on Saturday night. Had a super fun time with our community, a birthday party for a friend that turned 50. She has a look at all put on by her husband. Super fun time. Those of you, you high performers out there, you know how important community is and what a delight and how it enhances your life and how just getting away from the stress of life and having silly fun. Are we awesome dancers? No, we're not at this party, but we had a great time being silly, cutting loose. It is so good for your stress levels. And I know some of you, you're wound a little too tight and you're a little too worried about your image. And man, I struggle with that, okay? This is one of those deep breath moments. Right? Let go. And it brings so much health and so much vitality into our bodies. And so super refreshed from that. I love that. And missed you guys. You know, I do a set of these podcasts when I know I'm going to be busy for a couple weeks. And man, have I been busy doing all kinds of other stuff. I do all kinds of things for money. This that I do and this podcast and these podcasts that I get out to you because I care about you and I care about helping people. This is outgo. This is not ingo for me. This is spending money. And those of you that may see a new microphone in front of me, that's more money that's outgo. And so that's why I'm trying to get products out there. And if you do, I don't beg, but if this is bringing value to your life and you are getting things out of this, then you could send some love my way. But I'm going to continue to do this irregardless because I love it and it's a passion. And I so appreciate all of you out there. You know, I say this every week, but you're so inspiring as you go to improve your lives, deal with those things that hold you back, deal with the obstacles that, for a lot of you, propel you forward. And I have a friend that recommended a book that I look forward to being able to listen to on Audible, but I haven't. And some of you out there probably have already listened to it. The Obstacle is the Way. And so I'm looking forward to that. I don't know much about it, but I know that I love the title. So today, what I'm going to talk about, the dangerous redneck. And so what do you guys like? You're going to talk about yourself? Absolutely. I'm going to talk about myself because, you know, I go back and I listen to these podcasts and I realize that I am far from polished and perfect and that my brain often gets ahead of my mouth and I miss words or I mispronounce words because I'm already on to the next thought and my mouth is trying to catch up with my brain. And I come across, at least for me, and maybe some of you agree, and it's okay because I won't be offended if you agree, is I've come across kind of dopey and kind of stupid, and honestly, those that are loosely related to me, when I talk about health issues, or I talk about raising kids, or I talk about raising family, I think a lot of people write me off. But those that look deeper see that in a lot of instances in my life, now some are still waiting to catch up, because I'm still a fat guy, and I'm still working on that, even though I probably lost more weight than you've ever thought about gaining, like over 700 pounds. I just can't keep it off. But I get results in a lot of areas of my life. And I have what I call just incredibly simple nuclear thinking. You're less like, what kind of crazy stuff is that? Is that I take the things down to the simplest level and I apply logic and I don't take things at face value. I look at data sets and I look at information. I look what other people are doing and the so-called experts to me are not necessarily convincing. What this causes is nuclear results against the status quo that's thought of out there. Like, let me give you an example of some thoughts that have had nuclear tidal waves in my life. And for me, the results have been good, but for those around me and observing and having input in my life, it has caused them a huge amount of stress and discomfort and dis-ease. Now, I'm thankful, and you guys know that I proclaim myself as a man of faith. I'm espousing redneck wisdom here as a man of faith, but this actually works without faith, but faith obviously does help. And there's some brain flatulence there. I'm not exactly sure where I was going with that whole faith thing, but we may get it back around to that. But crazy thoughts, like when Adrian and I were first married and we talked about having kids and we talked about, you know, what do you want to do? How do you want to handle their education? And the crazy nuclear thought that we had was we wanted to raise our own kids. That was insane. And you're just like, what do you mean you want to raise your own kids? Don't we all want to raise our own kids? No, we wanted to be the primary influence in their life. And that means that, yeah, we are the crazy parents that wanted our kids around us as much as possible. So when they wake up, when they get up and they get about and they're causing trouble, nah, our kids didn't cause trouble. And I shouldn't even say that because they were an absolute delight. That's something that most people say, but I don't say. And that's another crazy thing that I'm going to talk about. Nuclear thinking is about your words and what you say. This is an example of what a lot of people go down that road. I did not say that and use that as a little joke type of thing. Anyway, we wanted to raise our own kids. And so what that translated to us as we said that is that we wanted with us as much as possible. So that meant that we would homeschool them. That meant that we would make decisions about our lifestyle. That meant that we were one of those rare families that lived through the late 80s, 90s, and 2000s on one income with 6 kids. Craziness. Okay, nuclear thinking. And that when we would raise our own kids, we would like decide the inputs they would have in their life. And so instead of being influenced around other kids, which they already were because they were growing up in a family and we're a very social family. So by nature, there were other kids around, but they were influenced by the adults that were our friends, which shared our values for the most part. But we also had friends that shared different values, but they were still moral people that we allowed to speak into our kids' life because we wanted them to be able to weigh their opinions. Now, we did not let like deviants and people like that. These were people of moral character, but sometimes had different beliefs on things. So our kids were influenced by adults. Crazy thinking, mature, reasoned people being the primary influence in a kid's life instead of sending them. Now, I know a lot of you out there do send your kids to school and you don't have a choice. Some of you wish you could homeschool. Some of you have spoken words such as, I could never do that, so you never will be able to do that. Okay, Tom has crazy redneck nuclear thinking around words that when you say words, you actually are prophesying. You are actually creating your future. If you don't like that word prophesying, you are creating, you are setting the energy, you are setting that energy path or that energy block into your future. So when you say things like, I can't, or my kids and I would kill ourselves, well, you are setting that energy into your future to set up a roadblock or whatever you do. So when I have crazy nuclear thinking, I set up energies around making pathways to how the heck am I going to have enough money for raising 6 kids, providing for 6 kids as my wife and I have the primary influence in their life. So we don't have time to necessarily work and earn that extra income other families are doing. So I'm putting those words into that and that is working itself out. Some of us, and this is where my nuclear thinking and where it gets crazy, is that I think that my words and my thoughts create pathways. And so as I have crazy thinking around that, the kids that I have, that I want to raise them, and I want to raise them to share my values, I also want to raise them to be independent thinkers so they can think beyond me and they can come up with solutions beyond me. So I'm not raising them to be clones. I'm raising them to stand on my shoulders. And so I'm giving them mature inputs into their life like adults and not other kids that are teaching them how to interact. And so my kids at a very young age were excellent communicators and had excellent vocabulary and like unlike most 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds can hold a great conversation with an adult because adults were their influencers and friends. And they were often annoyed with peers their own age because they were too immature. Now, am I trying to raise these superhuman beings? No, but that's what's happening because I am, and I have this simple nuclear thinking that I actually probably know what's best for my kids. Another crazy nuclear thought that Adrian and I had is that, wow, people have been having kids since the beginning of time and population has grown. And all of a sudden, in this modern era, we're told that you can't have babies without a doctor. My crazy nuclear thinking, along with Adrian's, is not only can you have babies without doctors, but you can have babies that are at home and that happen naturally without drugs. And guess what we did? Crazy nuclear thinking. Can I tell you how many, and some of my family that is listening told Adrian and I that we were nuts, that we were irresponsible? Yes, do I know that there are risks? Okay, there are risks when I get in my car, and we did the research and we looked at that. And of course there were risks. But the data set of all the people born before modern medicine speaks pretty loudly against that we need doctors delivering babies. Now, occasionally we do, and I'm not going to discount that, but this is where my crazy nuclear thinking gets me. Now, some other crazy nuclear thinking that I've talked to you about before is that the health. Do you know, and even in this whole COVID-19 craziness, that our body has two responses to invaders, like diseases or viruses in particular. When they come in, our body has what's called a cell-mediated response, which is that immediate response where it has like the killer T cells and the things that immediately go after that. But then later, our body has what's called a humoral response, which is how vaccines were developed, because they like took what the body does and they tried to like duplicate that into a vaccine, which still needs boosters and still needs other stuff. But what's crazy, and here's where my thoughts get crazy, is like, well, our bodies were designed to fight these things off. And if you look at the historical record, and I challenge you to do that, vaccines were developed and came into manufacturing about the time where a society had enough cases where there was enough humoral responses to the disease wasn't hitting people because they had built an immunity to that. Well, that's craziness that our bodies were designed to fight off these things. And throughout history, they've been designed to fight off these things. Do people die? They do. And do the weaker of the species die? They do. And is that a heartless thought? Well, I guess in 2020 it is. In 2019, and even all the cases of pneumonia and the different flu deaths are okay, but it's not okay. And it's bad thinking to think that people can die of COVID-19. I know that's absolutely heartless. So I have this belief that the body was designed to fight off diseases. I also have this belief that food was designed to strengthen our body. And a lot of the compromises that we have in our health is because the things that were designed to nourish and strengthen our body have been genetically modified and changed to be more productive, and they've lost its nutrition. And so it's absolutely crazy thinking to think that any of that may play a role in our health and our susceptibility to disease. Do you know that they're discovering that our immune system, and I've talked about this before, is created full of bacteria, and the more and the diverse your bacteria is of healthy species, but even some species that are considered unhealthy need to be in there for balance, creates a strong immune system. And so here's some more of Tom's crazy thinking. You don't take antibiotics because they kill all bacteria. And so if the seat of your immune system is this bacteria and good bacteria, but antibiotics come in and kill all this bacteria, why would you want to do that? It seems to me that you would want to support that bacteria and you would want to grow it and do things that increase that so your immune system is strong and so your natural defenses are strong. So Tom's crazy nuclear thinking is that the way that the body has survived and is designed is still true today. Now that's crazy thinking because doctors have now come in the last 200 years and they know so much more. Yet it's only been in the last 5 or 6 years that they found that bacteria is the seat of the immune system. They are so smart. So Tom's crazy thinking that all this science and the experts say, oh, just take these antibiotics and you'll be fine. Well, they do kill the sickness, but then they blow holes in the walls of your defense. And so this is Tom's crazy nuclear thinking, that it's simple. Wow, we've survived for a long time. And that the cultures that have the most diverse bacteria strains and amounts are some of the healthiest cultures on the planet. And they're third world countries where most people have never heard of a doctor. Wow, that's crazy thinking. I'm dangerous and I'm a dope and I'm a dork because I actually don't take what the doctor says at face value. I went in and found out that I have Hashimoto's and they told me I just have to take medication for the rest of my life. My blood work is slowly improving because I have done the research and realized that statement is not true, that there are steps and there are measures that you can take to heal yourself. This is crazy nuclear thinking. It gets me in trouble. The simple redneck questioning the way things are. Well, of course you take antibiotics. And of course you take ibuprofen if you have pain. Do you know what ibuprofen is? It's an NSAID. And these NSAIDs punch holes in your gut, which is also the seat of your immune system. So if you're chronically taking ibuprofen, eating crap food, you are devastating your health. And it's no wonder you're sick. And it's no wonder you're scared to death of COVID-19. But no, whoa, this is crazy redneck thinking, right? Oh, you know what else is crazy redneck thinking? And I've mentioned this before, that you can have teenagers that you love and get along with. Why? Because I said this before. When they were young, you know what the words I spoke around my kids were and the energy path that I set for my kids? Crazy nuclear thinking here. Crazy. Man, I can't wait till they're teenagers. We're going to have a great time. Wow, guess what? We have a crazy good time. Now, is it easy and roses? I'd be lying through my teeth if I said that. Of course, we all have hard times. but not like the rest. I'm going to grab my notes here because I actually did notes so I could sort of keep on track here and just looking to see where I'm at. I like to cover things all over the place. So, not doing too bad. And so, crazy thinking to think that we modify the food source and that we have health problems. And you know what is also crazy thinking? And so, what Adrian and I have done is that we realize that modern medicine, yeah, it has some benefits, but when's the last time you heard of something that actually cured something? When you go get a prescription, unless it's antibiotics, because they run a course and they kill everything in your body, and then you're good and you eat some yogurt and you replenish your body, which really isn't exactly true, but we're not going to go there because that's a really crazy redneck thinking. But that having universal healthcare coverage of medicine that doesn't cure anything is a good idea instead of changing the food source and changing the diet to promote health. And so Adrian and I, we do research and crazy thinking here that we do herbs and supplement and food that helps support our immune system so we don't have to go to the doctor. That's great. That's dangerous thinking. You shouldn't do that. Simple questions. And I know that so many of you out there are relating right now because you have these questions and you've asked these questions. Well, go find out for yourself. We live in a time and a place where you can do that research and you just don't have to believe what the experts tell you. Do you know, recently in September, my dad died of bacteria pneumonia directly related to wearing a mask. Nobody is telling you the other side of wearing a mask and the amount of bad bacteria that grows in your mouth because you are wearing a mask and you are recirculating that air. Is that crazy thinking to think against the grain because you are told by your government that wearing a mask is good? You're also told by your government, and your government helped companies like Monsanto hide the fact, due to proprietary information, that their chemicals were causing cancer. Is that crazy thinking because somebody told you, oh no, those don't have any bad effect? And now we find out, and it's like, oh my gosh. Is it crazy thinking? Am I a conspiracy theorist? Do you know? Well, of course you do, because we talked about this in the last podcast, that your body produces cholesterol, and that cholesterol is a healing agent in your body. And through misinformation and mistechnology, it has been vilified because we don't want to change our diet. Cholesterol goes and repairs the things that a bad diet causes. And do you know the reduction of cholesterol, what they're calling people that have severely reduced cholesterols and taking medication because you need cholesterol to produce hormones? They are calling them like zombie personalities because they are losing emotions and feeling. Is it crazy thinking that your body's design originally and the diet originally was right? Is it crazy that Weston A. Price, how many know who that is? You don't know who that is. He was a researcher that's been long dead, but he went and researched these cultures that ate primarily animal fat diets with like fermented foods or foods that were highly broken down. And this culture had big, beautiful white teeth. Cultures, not just culture, but all across like third world countries and places that were more rural that modernization hadn't got into. Great jawlines, strong, robust people, and that was attributed to their diet. And 100 years ago, I think when he did this research, maybe not quite that long ago, and came back and this diet, but it's been vilified because it isn't popular. Why is it not popular? That's a good question. That's another redneck question. How dare you ask why these people in these third world countries on rural diets and us with all of our technology and all of our resources are sick and unhappy? Okay, we're not dying, but we're sick and unhappy. And then these cultures that are eating these good foods that fuel the body. Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicine. And also said, all disease begins in the gut. That guy years ago knew what he's talking about. It's crazy nuclear thinking that somebody hundreds of years ago, 1,000 years ago, could know what they're thinking. And let me just throw this in as a man of faith. Jesus knew what he was thinking. And some of you are like, oh, visit my Sanguine podcast because I could challenge you a little bit. Plus, you love listening to me so much that it's gonna be fun. All right, let's talk some more craziness thinking. Another guy that lived 100 years ago, Nikola Tesla, which some could argue was crazy. I mean, he liked to do lab experiments naked and of the sort. Well, some people recently have called our president crazy because he talked about a disinfectant you could use in your body. Nikola Tesla, 100 years ago, discovered, I don't know if he discovered, I think he utilized it. I think it was already known about, O3, ozone, which I'm just going to say a disclaimer, you cannot breathe ozone because it will make you cough and hack. But ozone is a natural disinfectant in the body, and it can be taken a couple different ways. It can be taken rear door method, where you have a little bag or a syringe. It's like reverse fart, as Dave Asprey would say. You can put it in through your ears. Women, you have another access point where you can use, but that enters your body, and it is just like our president said, and they call him a crazy man, yet this has been around for 100 years. It's crazy nuclear thinking. You know why? Because this substance cannot be patented. So nobody's interested in the money. Is it crazy thinking that technologies and things that work would be suppressed because people wanted to make money? I think it's a little redneck thinking to think that. Well, I do. And do I take ozone? And I'm just going to put you on. There's a new product where you don't have to take it that method, and they have figured out a way that it still releases in your GI tract, that it can be taken in pill form. And there's no sponsorship, there's no benefit to me, although I sure would like it. But it's a company called Biocharge. It's brand new, utilizing Nikola Tesla's technology plus some more research that this guy has done. It is absolutely awesome. And this is along the lines of redneck thinking. All right, so what is redneck thinking? It is looking at the obvious, asking questions. Why did that change? Has it helped? Should I do that? That's what I consistently do. I don't accept anything. There are new technologies and there are new things out there that are changing the world, and I am researching it and looking at that. But there are also things that are like called the standard of care. When you go to the doctor, he cannot offer you care outside of the standard of care because of his liability insurance. Why? So when you go outside the standard of care, and this is what this Chef podcast is all about, I'm taking you outside the normal. I have had results with family, with community. I have seen my family, not one of my kids have been on an antibiotic, and they are all teenagers. They have immune systems that are rock solid. I have seen them fight off the most crazy things. And so you can call me redneck, but you can call my results nothing more than miraculous. I have walked through the teenage years with joy and excitement. I took my kids to a disco party the other night where we had so much fun together. I have seen this family grow. I have stayed married to the same woman for 3 decades, and our marriage is just a delight and fulfilling. Has it been easy? Absolutely not. But are good things easy? Okay, I am the dangerous redneck, and I want you to be dangerous too. I want you to start asking those questions. You can ask questions that I'm not even thinking about asking, and it's time that you start asking them. You start moving towards solutions, okay? This is all about us living better, greater, fuller, more impactful, more free lives, healthier lives. So let's be dangerous, right? Why? Yep, we're ending up here. And I'm just going to tell you, the most important thing of all the things that I can talk about is the words that you speak, and that you can create an energy barrier in your life, like an energy roadblock, or you can create an energy pathway. Your words are that, and they are fueled by your imagination. And so you can change that. So create paths for yourself. Yes, do that simple nuclear thinking that you can make a difference. You can pave a way. Why? Yep, because I got you. I do. I got you.